It's as close as you get to win, and you're in. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in the same swing state right now. That's Topping the Hill on NewsNation tonight. Live look as we begin tonight. Oaks, Pennsylvania. That is Montgomery County there, the Philly suburbs. Donald Trump set to speak any moment now. This is his first event since his large weekend gathering at Coachella in Coachella, California, where authorities there say they arrested a man with several weapons. When Donald Trump speaks live in Pennsylvania tonight, you will listen live with us right here on the Hill. Vice President Kamala Harris tonight, by the way, in the Keystone State as well. She is in the northwest corner in Erie, a county that went red in 2016, flipped blue in 2020. Harris today, by the way, also trying to address concerns among black men. Her campaign tells us she will tout a plan that would include, for example, 1 million fully forgivable loans for black entrepreneurs, legalize recreational marijuana, and create opportunities in that industry for black Americans. She will also now embrace cryptocurrency. 22 days to go until Election Day. We begin tonight out on the campaign trail. Caitlin Becker is alongside the former president, but we start tonight with Kelly Meyer, who is live for us in Erie. Kelly?
Yeah, hey there, Blake. So we are in downtown Erie awaiting Vice President Harris to take the stage behind me. This area in downtown Erie is generally Democratic, but it's the outskirts of the city that are more Republican, and that's who she's reaching out to specifically here tonight. We're learning that she's going to focus on warning about the dangers of a second Trump term. A senior campaign official telling us that she's going to key in on his recent remarks that he would deploy the military against his enemies. So she's trying to win over Republican voters here in this county. As you said, this county went on to predict who won the state and who went to the White House. So she's honing in on that. Then also, as you mentioned, she's also talking to specifically black male voters. She's making a stop at a black-owned business here in Erie, and she's going to be revealing these opportunities for black men, trying to help them build more black wealth, as they're saying. She's also going to do more stops in Detroit, Michigan tomorrow, and then in Philly, some more urban areas over this next week, as she has a little bit of a hesitancy with some black male voters, what we saw former President Barack Obama hit on last week when he was here near Pittsburgh. Blake.
Our Kelly Meyer live for us in Erie, Pennsylvania tonight alongside the Vice President. Kelly, thank you. Now over to Oaks, Pennsylvania. That's outside of Pittsburgh, and to Philadelphia, rather, and to our Caitlin Becker, who is live at Donald Trump's event, which is expected to start any moment now. Caitlin?
Yeah, Blake, Donald Trump is running a little bit late today, so we are expecting his motorcade kind of any minute coming in here. And I'm on the opposite side of the state to where Kelly and the Harris campaign are. We're in the suburbs outside Philadelphia in Montgomery County. This is an area that the campaign hasn't been to yet, but it does really point to them trying to make sort of inroads with some of the urban and suburban crowd in the Keystone State, whereas the rural areas tend to lean more red, and of course the cities lean more blue. But so many votes were up for grabs here in Pennsylvania. Now, we're in Montgomery County, and back in 2020, this county went really heavily for Joe Biden. He won the county
for us. Caitlin's in Oaks for us tonight. You see the line there, obviously, it's a little bit of audio difficulty. Caitlin, thank you. When Donald Trump takes to the stage live there in Pennsylvania tonight, he was expected to start a few moments ago. It should happen at some point this hour. When that happens, we will take you there live. Meantime, major races across Pennsylvania could shape not just the White House, but who also gains control of the Senate and the House of Representatives as well. Our partners at thehill.com, for example, reporting tonight that perhaps the most well-known Republican lawmaker in that state, one of them certainly, Congressman Scott Perry, is fighting to hold on to his seat. Perry has represented the Harrisburg area in Congress for a decade and was the former head of the House Freedom Caucus. Congressman Scott Perry joins us live here on the Hill. Congressman, thanks for being back with us tonight. Appreciate the time. According to DDHQ, our friends there, they call this a 50-50, quite literally, coin flip at this point in time. Do you think that's the state of the race in your home state tonight? And if so, why is it that way?
Well, I think the real question is how come the Democrats are spending so much time and money here? This is Pennsylvania, no matter what, has been a generally reliable vote for them in almost all the recent presidential elections except for 2016, right, which they were surprised by. Now they're out here slugging it out, spending millions upon millions of dollars in what should be a sure bet for them. Pennsylvania is not a sure bet for Democrats. They have to be here. They have to spend all this money. They're hemorrhaging their support. They're down about 50% in voter registration. Their mail-in ballots aren't coming in like they did in the past because people aren't enthusiastic about Kamala Harris and the entire Democratic ticket. Now, look, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to slug it out. There's no doubt about it. Anything worth having is worth fighting for. But I think the real news is that the Democrats should be in other states. They should be in places like Georgia trying to pick up.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead. Could I ask you then why is Donald Trump in Georgia? And he's spending a lot of time there, right? You can make the flip side of that argument.
You can make that argument, obviously, but there was a lot of anomalies in Georgia that got straightened out by Brian Kemp and their Secretary of State since the 2020 election. Those things haven't changed in Pennsylvania. The new law that started in 2020, the first time Pennsylvania ever voted in by mail, is still in place, lock, stock, and barrel. So but where Trump has to be, Kamala Harris should not have to be, and that's the difference.
You look at Pennsylvania, your home state, and you say Democrats are trying to defend their turf. You're right. For only one time, as you know, since '92, has a Republican won it. It was Donald Trump, obviously back then by 0.7%. But right now, and the voter registration numbers are coming down. But still, Congressman, Democrats have a 340,000 or so advantage in the state of Pennsylvania as it comes to voter registration. So when you look at the numbers, is it advantage Democrats in your state?
Well, the advantage has always been to the Democrats, at least in recent history, just based on voter registration. But on actual votes, let me just tell you, the people that work in the steel mill in Steelton, the people that work in the factories across Pennsylvania, the people that work at the U.S. Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, whether they're Democrat or Republican, this is what they know. Under Kamala Harris, no matter what she says she's going to do for them, she's had nearly 4 years to do it. In the meantime, they can't afford their groceries. They're buying them with credit cards. They can't afford their electricity bills or their daycare bill. Their streets are unsafe. The country's unsafe. And they don't know why they should trust Kamala Harris, who's had 4 years to do something and hasn't done anything and now is acting like she's going to change all this around. She's the one that's caused all of this.
So you've been in Congress for 11 years now, since 2013. I'm looking at the areas in and around where you represent York County. Donald Trump won that by 29 and 24 points the last two elections. Cumberland, Donald Trump won that by 18 and 10. You are believed to be, sir, in a very tight race. You're the former head of the Freedom Caucus, Republican who's held a seat there for more than a decade. Why is your race tight, and what does that say about the state tonight?
My race is tight because of two reasons. First of all the money that's coming in from the West Coast and places other than Pennsylvania being used in this district against me. That's number one. Number two, all the lies that are being told. Look, Democrats aren't held accountable for anything they say or do. My opponent barely campaigns. She doesn't even live in the district, but that doesn't matter to them because they can flood the airwaves with millions and millions of dollars of lies on TV and on the internet, and people see that, and they're not sure what the truth is. So, but the real poll is going to be in 3 weeks, right? That's when we're really going to know what the outcome is.
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman Scott Perry, Republican from the state of Pennsylvania. Thanks for being with us here on the Hill tonight. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.
You got it. All right. Again, live look right now as we await a couple big events tonight in Pennsylvania. Vice President Harris, Donald Trump, one of them in Erie, one of them outside of Philly. When that happens, when Donald Trump is expected to speak this hour, we will take you there live. Joining us tonight here on the Hill, throughout the hour, Democratic strategist, NewsNation contributor Kurt Bardella, Republican strategist, NewsNation contributor Denise Gitsom, former Obama policy advisor Lori Watkins, and the former principal deputy press secretary in the Trump administration, Hogan Gidley. Hello to you all. Nice to have you all in on this Monday, 22 days to go. Both of them are in Pennsylvania tonight. Donald Trump in the Philly burbs, she's out in the Bellwether County. What's the thinking here?
It's almost like Pennsylvania's important in this election. Look, I think it's pretty clear. You have to win Pennsylvania. If Donald Trump does that, there's going to be obviously some big indicators, too, that he's going to perform well in Michigan, Wisconsin, other places like that. That crack in the blue wall could happen there. Donald Trump's spending a lot of time there. The trajectory of polling seems to be moving in Donald Trump's favor, in his direction. I know both campaigns' mentality at this point, from what I'm hearing, Kamala Harris's folks are a little bit worried. Donald Trump's folks are a little bit cautiously excited. Still a long time to go.
So you're in Trump world, or hear from it, cautiously excited from the Trump folks?
Yeah.
With PA. You worried?
No, and I will tell you why. I've been to two of the counties that are in the Congressman's district, Dauphin and Cumberland County. I've been to Steelton, I've been to Harrisburg, and I've been to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and I have personally knocked on doors. And yes, I'll agree, the Army War College is there, that steel mill is there, which the Biden administration has given millions of dollars to, is going to reinvent that steel mill. They know that. They are excited about that. People that are veterans that are living in that community in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, democracy, the fact that this gentleman was leading the effort to steal millions of votes from the 2020 election and the effort to overturn the 2020 election, that is a huge deal for them. These are a lot of veterans.
That rate's still low. When we look at the swing state polling, that rate's well below.
But abortion and women's rights are absolutely on a forefront for them, and that's what people at the doors were saying. They want to protect women's rights.
Let me ask you this. At the end of the day, PA, plus 350,000, give or take, voter registration for Democrats, if it's all net, is that the game changer?
Well, I mean, I think, and our buddy Scott Trainer can talk about this in a few minutes, whoever wins Pennsylvania, empirically speaking, the data shows that your chances of winning the presidency exponentially go through the roof.
85% chance, DDH.
And so I think the thing, if I'm Scott Perry, that I'm worried about, in 2020, Trump carried his district by 8 points. You flash forward then to the other elections that happened. Josh Shapiro won his district by 12 points. Fetterman only lost that district by 1 point. So Perry's been running well behind Donald Trump for a few cycles now, and in the debate that they had just last week in Harrisburg, abortion was the center stage issue, as the Hill's Julie Manchester reported on. That is why this is in play. I don't quite understand what Perry was talking about, questioning why are Democrats here in Pennsylvania. I think everyone agrees, no matter which side you're on. This is an important state, for both sides.
But how do you overcome that?
Donald Trump has to overcome that by speaking about the issues that all Americans, including Pennsylvanians, care about the most, which is the economy. It doesn't matter how many millions of dollars you pour into an industry, and by the way, that was under Biden, not Harris, because let's be clear, Biden still claims Pennsylvania as part of his story, and so Harris has a totally different story, and she has to convince them that she cares about them as someone who comes from the Bay Area and was raised totally different from them. Pennsylvanians care. Unlike most states, Pennsylvanians care so much about your personal story. Can you relate to who they are? This is why you saw Trump pick up Vance. And this is why you hear these narratives over and over. They are going after the working class voter, and that is going to be the ticket. And every working class voter, every American cares about the economy. That's the key.
Let me leave you with this, Hogan. Trump is going to Coachella, California. He's going to Madison Square Garden, New York. Those ain't flipping anytime soon. Why is he doing it? Because you're at the home stretch right now, and every single day and every single event matters.
Sure. Well, remember, at this point in time, what Kamala Harris is doing is not just base maintenance. She's trying to prevent people from leaving. Right. She's having problems with gay people, with blacks, and with Hispanics, spending $500,000 in gay publications, trying to get those numbers up as well. Six-figure ad buys. Donald Trump also understands how important it's going to be to have the House and the Senate. And for whatever reason, oddly enough, we have the House and Senate in Republican hands because of the folks in California and New York. So when he's there, he's talking to those voters and trying to get them out as well.
But you can't have them send you legislation if you don't win. And so at the end of the day, should he be in the Midwest, in the Rust Belt?
It's not like once he says something in California, it's not broadcast everywhere. He's got a lot of things he wants to do in this campaign, and that's talk to all Americans. That includes California and New York.
Just remember that after 2016, when Hillary Clinton lost, there were a lot of questions about why she wasn't campaigning in certain spots that she should have, that she lost. If Donald Trump loses, this will be part of the conversation of why you wasted time at Coachella.
All right, still to come here on the Hill. You are looking live once again. The Philly Expo Center in Oaks, PA, where Donald Trump expected to give remarks at a town hall any minute. The folks are saying hello. Hello back. We will take you there live once that happens. And did you happen to see this over the weekend? The world's largest rocket taking flight and returning intact. So, why do some lawmakers want to slow down Elon Musk from pushing forward for more of that? Wait until you hear their reason. We're back in 4. All right, welcome back here to the Hill on NewsNation. Live look, Oaks, Pennsylvania, when Donald Trump takes to the stage there. In Pennsylvania, we will take you there live. But before then, did you see this? A surreal sight in the skies and above over the weekend. The largest rocket ever built, it's named Starship, made a successful test flight into space and back. As part of the feat, the booster returned back to the launch pad and did so with perfect precision. You could see some of it there. So you'd think that you'd want to see where the limits of innovation, where the limits of technology can take us here in the 21st century, right? Not for some in California. The California Coastal Commission has rejected a SpaceX bid to increase the number of rocket launches, citing environmental concerns and the noise from sonic booms. But members of that panel also expressed reservation given Musk's political posts on the platform he owns, X. Musk says he will file a lawsuit tomorrow for violation of First Amendment rights. Can you defend this, Kurt?
No.
I love that
like you see that over the weekend and you say, my gosh, that's the future. That's maybe where we're going. And then
Denise will appreciate this as we are Californians.
Yes.
There is no one who knows California who doesn't hear the words Coastal Commission and just immediately roll their eyes. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. Like no matter what you think of Elon Musk and all that, this is pretty freaking amazing. Let's be honest. Like, it just is.
Listen, 3 things this is dumb. First of all, Coastal Commission has completely changed its mission. It was never meant to be a force for policy positions and political beliefs. Second of all, why would you ever throw that in to just really, you could have had such an airtight argument against Elon based on environmental factors instead of his political beliefs. It was just so dumb. They poisoned the well for themselves. But then they do that all the time. But third of all, this Elon's success undermines every Democratic argument against which is that the government can do it better. Everything that he does is so excellent and so far exceeds anything the federal government could ever do that the federal government is beholden to him to even get into any new realm.
I mean, it says so much that while he routinely dumps on the Biden administration, he's getting billions of government contracts.
They need him.
Risk versus reward with the government, right? Because he has so many billions of dollars in contracts that it's almost impossible to pull his clearance. We probably all agree with that, right?
Yep.
So he's going to keep being this amazing government provider of services. Hey, I worked in the Obama administration. We were the biggest proponent of his commercial space program. We wanted this, and he's getting all the contracts.
The Biden administration, though, has not been a friend of his.
No, I would agree. Yes, I would agree with you on that.
It's
political.
Because of
so
politics.
Weird that this guy, that the left is always clamoring for electric vehicles. It's the wave of the future. That's what we have to have. And this is the guy who's the closest to making us have all electric cars.
Right.
And they hate the guy only because of his political beliefs. So when you see a feat like this, a rocket that goes up, comes right back down to where it was, it blows my mind that people are angry at this.
John Fetterman, senator from Pennsylvania, was on with Chris Steyerwalt, The Hill Sunday. Here's what he said about Elon Musk.
Musk is incredibly popular, and he has an appeal to a demographic that Democrats have been struggle with. And to some people, that they see him as that's Tony Stark.
Good
Is he on to something there?
Tony Stark. Okay, I would agree with all of his accomplishments as it relates to space. But when he starts making insinuations that why wasn't there an assassination attempt against Biden and Harris that could be insinuated as an assassination attempt, which was then quickly deleted. These are the kinds of political, which he calls freedom of speech, but as a government contractor and provider who openly smokes cannabis on TV, etc., these are all part of the policies that a government contractor is not supposed to do.
Is Fetterman on to something there, though?
Yes, he is. And I think this thing. Democrats sometimes, I think they take Elon Musk almost too seriously when it comes to political. He is a character. He's almost, again, like a WWE wrestler. if you are going to react a certain way every time that Elon Musk, this is an eccentric billionaire, multi-billionaire, creative. Part of the crazy is what has made him so successful, frankly. You look at anyone who's ever been this successful, who has done things that can literally change the world that we live in and change our future. You're going to have to take that crazy, too, which is why we're willing to give him tens of billions of dollars of contracts.
Well, and Fetterman's speaking like someone from a swing state who's got, this. I just read a poll. Believe it or not, they're doing polls about Elon Musk's approval ratings. He's at 6% with Democrats. And so the fact that yet with independents...
Where was that? Nationwide?
It was nationwide, yeah. I mean, I assume they're not targeting in like swing states. Maybe I'm wrong. But, you've got... But independents, like 45, 50% of them have a favorable opinion of him. Shockingly, Elon Musk has a higher approval rating than Kamala Harris did.
I think...
Give you last word here.
I think Fetterman should ask Elon if he has a light kit for his house. That's really bad light.
Yeah, that's
maybe
his
that innovation could get him.
It is interesting what he said there.
I like
sort
Fetterman.
Makes you think. All right, still to come here on the Hill. Dueling Pennsylvania events this evening. On the left, we await Donald Trump, left side of your screen, actually right side of your screen there. And on the other side, Kamala Harris in Erie, Pennsylvania. The two set to speak within the hour or so. Trump this hour, if that happens. We'll take you there live. Plus, new information on the man arrested at a Trump rally in California over the weekend. The latest when The Hill on NewsNation returns. Welcome back here to The Hill on NewsNation. We are taking a live look here. Donald Trump speaking at a town hall any moment now in Oaks, Pennsylvania. He's there pushing for voter turnout, while Kamala Harris is also in the blue wall battleground state, focusing on black voters. The swing state has 19 electoral votes and has been the most visited by both the Trump and Harris campaigns this year, amounting to more than 40 stops combined. Our partners at Decision Desk HQ say whoever wins Pennsylvania has an 85% chance of winning the White House. That simple, essentially. All right, meantime, continued questions tonight about Donald Trump's safety. A suspect now accused of illegally possessing multiple firearms while trying to enter Trump's campaign rally in Coachella Valley, California over the weekend on Saturday. The Secret Service and the FBI say Trump was never in any danger, but the Riverside County Sheriff is not as certain.
If you're asking me right now, I probably did have deputies that prevented the third assassination attempt.
NewsNation's Brooke Schaefer has the very latest on this incident over the weekend. Brooke, what are we learning tonight?
Well, Blake, my team was actually able to get in contact with 49-year-old Vem Miller over text messages today. He told NewsNation, he pushed back on the assumptions that he wanted to harm the former president, telling us he is actually, quote, 100% a Trump supporter. And he claims he was invited to Trump's rally in California over the weekend. Now, police arrested the 49-year-old at a checkpoint in California's Coachella Valley just before that Trump rally on Saturday, after first spotting what they said was a suspicious car in disarray. Now, inside that car, officers said they found fake license plates consistent with groups claiming to be sovereign citizens, along with multiple fake passports with different names. Officers said they also found a shotgun, a loaded handgun, and a high-capacity magazine. Now, law enforcement arrested Miller before Mr. Trump arrived at that rally, and they said that the incident had no impact on the safety of rally attendees or the former president. The FBI and the Secret Service today both stressing the former president was not in any danger. A source also confirmed to NewsNation this was not a third assassination attempt. Still, there are certainly a lot of questions swirling tonight. This 49-year-old suspect reportedly falsely claimed to have VIP access to the event as a journalist. In text today, he told us he was given a special invite to Trump's rally from the heads of the Nevada Republican Party. We reached out to the Nevada GOP for a response, but we didn't hear back just yet. Blake?
All right, clearly still questions there. Brooke Schaefer, live for us tonight. Brooke, thank you. Live look right now, Erie, Pennsylvania, where Kamala Harris, the vice president, is set to hold a campaign rally where she will be meeting in just before this event with black entrepreneurs. It's all part of her push to gain more black voters with just 3 weeks away from Election Day. Earlier today, she announced new proposals in a reach for black male voters, which includes providing 1 million fully forgivable loans to black entrepreneurs, pushing for more programs that support black men earning higher paying jobs, regulating cryptocurrency, and creating a health initiative focused on black men and legalizing recreational marijuana. This all comes 2 days after the former president, Barack Obama, was at a rally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he had this to say to certain black voters.
You're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you? Because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Joining us now is the Democratic congressman from the state of Nevada, swing state that we talk about, Congressman Stephen Horsford. He is also the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Congressman, thanks for being with us here on the Hill tonight. Appreciate it, sir. The former president giving that warning the other day. Was he right to do so, and do so in that manner?
Well, look, what I do know is that black men are among the most dedicated block of voters in every election, second only to black women when it comes to our understanding of the importance of our vote, turning out in every election, and understanding that our fundamental rights, freedoms, and opportunities are at stake in this election, which is a very consequential election because we have two very clear and competing visions for moving our country forward. One that's about raising up everyone's opportunity by having an economy that works for everyone versus Donald Trump and Trump's Project 2025 that's really about trying to take us backward. The majority of black men that I talk to really have questions about what has been done in the last 4 years, and more importantly, what will be done in the next 4 years that will improve their economic lives.
So that's interesting, and hearing you talk about the message, sir, because in that New York Times poll over the weekend, black voters, Kamala Harris is up 76 to 13, but that number is not as strong as it has been for recent Democratic candidates.
But look,
black
it's 70,
men, it was up 69 to 16.
Even if you accept that poll for being fact, which I question, that's over 75% of the vote. So why are we continuing to focus on a small number that votes conservatively every election? That's my question.
President Biden in Pennsylvania, black voter support 2020, 92%, Donald Trump 7%. And so look, Kamala Harris is trying to address this head on. And so I guess the question is, how come the message that you talk about, and you're telling me that they want to evaluate the last 4 years and look forward, have they just looked at the last 4 years? That New York Times poll, it talks about the economy. Only 26% of black voters give a favorable view of the economy. Have they looked at the last 4 years and said, not for me?
No, in fact, what they've said is they want to focus on the issues that matter most to them. Look, black people and black voters and black men are not a monolith. We don't all think and act and vote exactly the same. We have different perspectives. We have different political ideology. And to somehow question that we're all going to fall into one category is simply false. What the vice president is doing is she's making sure that she is reaching out and earning every single voter, and black voters included, black men and men at large. She understands that in order to win, she has to talk about her vision for how she will move our country forward. Yes, building on the progress of what we've achieved in the last 4 years by capping the cost of insulin at $35, creating 16 million new businesses, 3 million that are black-owned businesses, lifting 50% of children out of poverty. That's what's been done in the last 4. But now she's also talking about what will be accomplished. And what she laid out today is about making sure that we have an ownership-driven economy, one that allows people to have a stake in the American dream by owning a home and providing $25,000 worth of down payment grants, helping entrepreneurs that have a good idea to start their business by providing up to $20,000 of forgivable loans to help that business get off to a good start, and then providing up to $50,000 worth of tax deductions to help those businesses grow and to thrive. Rather than giving big tax cuts to the very wealthy, her focus is on small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Congressman Horsford, we got to leave it there. Chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, thanks for being with us tonight here on the Hill. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
You got it. All right. So one of the states where the vice president is going to be in, Scott Tranter, data science director, Decision Desk HQ. And there is Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania today, Erie, PA, walking off of Air Force Two. Look, the Kamala Harris knows that she has to take this issue, this head on, right? We see this in the polls. Joe Biden was at 92% with black voters in Pennsylvania. Right now, Kamala Harris is at 79% black voters in Pennsylvania. Can she win Pennsylvania, Scott, if those numbers hold?
It certainly makes it tough. She's got to make it up in other demographics like white Caucasian voters. It'd be much easier if she just got back the voters that Joe Biden got, which is why we see her up in that swing county and talking to, voters up there as well as voters in Philadelphia.
The economy is the top issue, no matter where you go. And I just read you
across all demographics.
Across all demographics,
yeah.
Right? That's not white, black, men, women. Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's the American electorate at this point in time. So is it just simply that message, no matter who you are?
So it's short answer is yes. The more complicated answer is on the issue of economics and the economy, Donald Trump does a little better. So she's got to address that because she's a little bit behind, and that should be the number one issue. But from her perspective, Donald Trump's doing a little bit better. So she's got to both improve as well as make sure she doesn't fall behind.
All right, so you heard Barack Obama there, former President Obama, a handful of days ago. The campaign has put out this initiative for black men, which they're talking about today. Flip it to the next graphic if we can, because there's been a lot of headlines and a lot of conversations, Scott, about whether or not she can win if that is indeed the spread. But here's what's going on. You sent me these numbers earlier today. Demographics from 20 to 2024. Donald Trump is making inroads with black voters. He's making inroads with Hispanic voters. But Democrats are gaining with white voters. And white voters overwhelmingly, there's significantly more white voters, I think 5 or 6 to 1 than any other demographic. So with all the concern from the left or the concern from the Harris campaign, as we've seen in the last 5 days, do they have that to point to sort of counter the narrative?
That is exactly what it is. And right, so this analysis is looking at crosstabs from all these national polls and applying it to various states. New York Times just today, huge poll, African Americans and Hispanics. And this is what the trend shows.
Right.
That is what she's hanging her head on. If she gains 2 points among white Caucasian voters, that means many more votes than saying gaining 10 or 17 for Donald Trump.
Right.
But it certainly makes this race really close to call.
Scott Tranter, Data Science Director, DDHQ. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, still to come here on the Hill, another live look in, where are we? What part of Pennsylvania? Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump set to speak there any moment now. We were told it was going to be at this portion of the hour. Who knows when Trump comes to the stage? Kamala Harris, by the way, as I just showed you, in Pennsylvania tonight. Both of them there. Plus, why Trump wants the National Guard to step in this election. Did you see the comments that he made over the weekend? The full panel. Back in a few. Stay with us.
Tomorrow, auto workers in America's heartland, out of a job.
Just all of a sudden disappear. Wouldn't you be a little mad about that?
Meet the people falling through the financial cracks. Going broke. Elizabeth Vargas reports tomorrow, 5/4 Central, only on NewsNation.
Welcome back here to the Hill on NewsNation, 22 days away from Election Day as security efforts ramp up to ensure a smooth election. Top Justice Department officials already warning about an onslaught of potential foreign interference from Russia, Iran, and China. Donald Trump, though, over the weekend argued the greatest threat on Election Day will not come from a foreign actor. As this Hill headline there reads, Trump suggests the National Guard and using the military against, quote unquote, an enemy from within.
I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
The Harris campaign responding in a statement, writing in part, quote, Donald Trump is suggesting that his fellow Americans are worse enemies than foreign adversaries, and he is saying he would use the military against them. What Trump is promising is dangerous, and returning him to office is simply a risk Americans cannot afford, end quote. Hogan, why isn't every word out of his mouth at this point border, immigration, economy, inflation, and just saying that over and over versus
He does talk about that quite a bit, as you know. In fact, the focus on those two topics has really contributed to a lot of his rise in the trend in his polls toward, for the American people moving his direction. That's why he's up in a lot of the swing state polls. You saw the Trump campaign release some of the internal polling there as well. So they're in a good spot. This is something a lot of people are concerned about. We saw them systematically attack Donald Trump behind the scenes in all of these three-letter agencies across the federal government for a long time, for 4 years. They lied about everything from Russia collusion. You had 51 clowns say the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't real. That was a problem. You had the two lovers, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, collude to try and take Donald Trump down. You've seen the federal government go after him from a legal standpoint, trying to put him in jail. He's almost been assassinated now, at least on 2 occasions, possibly a third. So the only real group here weaponizing a government agency or an entity against an opponent is Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
You're a Republican, though, who is shaking your head at that. Why?
Well, no, I don't think any honest American can point to both sides and say we've got crazy radical fringes on either one. That's just an honest assessment. In fact, the New York Times said, and he's actually saying what the New York Times said a month ago when they did an assessment of what the greatest threats were to America. And they ended that article talking about Iran, China, and all the other foreign threats, saying our greatest threat is actually the division that we feel within. Why wouldn't Americans want to ensure that we have a safe election day, that things are okay? He's not saying to use the National Guard against people. What he's saying is let's make sure that it is safe for everybody so that our democracy can actually, in fact, be preserved.
I hear a guy making excuses for why he's going to lose. I hear a guy who's already laying the groundwork to justify why he's not going to win. For all the talk about, oh, this race is getting closer and Democrats are concerned, all that. When someone makes statements like that, that makes me think you already know you're going to lose. I think it is a colossal waste of time for someone at this stage in the game to be talking about anything but, as you put it, immigration, the border, the economy, the issues you think you can win on. This just gives a reminder to other voters who may be thinking of going your way, but they're not sure about you, to not go that way.
Even the suggestion that the Army will go after American citizens is just reinforcing his dark rhetoric and behavior of supporting authoritarian regimes and leaders, and that's what he aspires to be like.
What would you say to Kurt?
Well, first of all, Kamala Harris has spent the last 2 days talking about debates and doctor's notes. She's not talking about the issues that matter to the American people because she knows she's underwater and she has caused all of our problems. She has been in power for the last 4 years, and we have high prices for gas and groceries. We see wars breaking out. We see a wide open southern border. So she's trying to confuse the audience with all kinds of little bright, shiny objects. It's not going to work.
All right. Meantime, the vice presidential candidates out on the trail and before the cameras. J.D. Vance attending the NASCAR playoff race with his family over the weekend. The senator greeting NASCAR fans and also attending the drivers' meeting. Governor Tim Walz celebrated the opening day of pheasant hunting season in his home state of Minnesota. The VP candidates also making appearances on the weekend Sunday shows. Governor Walz trying to clarify his stance on the Electoral College.
People feel, and they have to feel, every vote counts in every place of the country. The campaign's position is clear on this. That's not to get rid of the Electoral College, but it's to focus on every vote.
Vance, by the way, sparring with ABC's Martha Raddatz on the presence of migrant gangs in Colorado.
A handful of problems. Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border?
I see Donald Trump not doing 60 Minutes. I see Kamala Harris not talking to Time. Can you say good on them for taking the heat and going out and doing the Sunday shows?
I don't think it matters. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think that anybody watching a Sunday show knows who they're voting for this November. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think that Walz has become more of a liability than he is a pro. Everyone was talking about how bad J.D. Vance would be. J.D. Vance is actually helping bolster blue wall states.
Yeah, but it's pheasant hunters.
But, listen, the fact that he did that and then royally screwed it up, honestly, the ridicule. When Trump won, he got, actually in 2020 when he lost, he got 8% of the male vote. Walz was supposed to bolster Kamala Harris by getting the male vote.
Fox News Sunday.
But now he has 10% of the male vote. And so, everything you're trying to do with Walz is backfiring. Maybe you should pull him off the campaign trail.
For all of the criticism that Kamala Harris is not doing interviews, she is creating news. She is not watching the news. She's not focusing on
reading the
news and reading the news like Donald Trump is. She's out creating news, and that's what's really bugging Donald Trump.
Yeah, speaking of creating news, she also said she did not separate herself from anything that Joe Biden had done. I bet the families of the 13 people who are dead in Afghanistan wish she'd done something differently. I bet people who are paying more for gas and groceries wish Kamala Harris had done something differently. I bet the families of those who've been raped, killed, assaulted, or burglarized by an illegal alien wish Kamala Harris would do something differently. In fact, they're so in lockstep, she even plagiarized like Joe Biden. So welcome to the show, Kamala.
All right, live look right now in Oaks, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump was supposed to start at 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. As you see, it's who's that? Kristi Noem, right? Governor of South Dakota. There she is out on the trail for Donald Trump. He is expected to speak any moment now. Leland Vitter, host of On Balance, joins me on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You're watching The Hill here on NewsNation. We told you Donald Trump was expected live at the top of the hour, and here he is, 6:58 on the East Coast. Donald Trump, Kristi Noem. Let's listen in live.
Air base. And you knew that one from your own time.
Yes, I did.
A big one, a really good one. Powerful runways, long runways. And you know what happened? I'll tell you, they gave it up. And it was 1 hour away from where China built, forget about Afghanistan, 1 hour away from where China builds its nuclear weapons. Would have been very nice to have. And China now occupies that air base. So it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is. Mr. President, as you can see, we've got a lot of American patriots here tonight who want to ask you some questions.
Good.
If you don't mind, we'll move into that portion of the town hall tonight. Let's go to our first question. Our first question is going to be from a man named Reed. And Reed, I'm not certain where you are.
Where's Reed? There he is. Hi, Reed.
There he is, over there.
Nice-looking guy.
And Reed, I believe you're a Navy SEAL, correct?
No.
No. Okay, no. I got that wrong.
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. President. My name is Reed.
Hi, Reed.
I'm a single father and Iraq War veteran. I dream of owning a home for me and my son, but mortgage rates under the Biden-Harris administration have made that impossible. What can you do to help make home ownership affordable again?
All right, good. It's a great question, and a lot of people have this question. First of all, it's too expensive to build the homes, and they're building them, and they cost a fortune, and 30% of the cost in some locations is the cost of, like, planning and certificates and a lot of nonsense they do. They make you go through hell and it takes years to get them, zoning approvals, all of the approvals you need.